What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is. Preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? I'm the Celtic Warrior, Sheamus.
Wardlow here.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome, everyone, to Wrestling on the Rocks. I am not Miss Amanda Jane, and this is episode 1. I am Digi. Tonight, Miss Amanda has joined the corporation, as it were, and so I brought a very special guest. This is Hype the Commentator. I've got to pick a hand in the side. You know, it's episode 1. It's what we do. So this is kind of an interesting deal that we're going to be talking a few things, and we definitely want you guys to, you know, speak up, tell your mind, because we are the chaser. We are taking out that bad taste in your mouth that the internet wrestling community can often leave. So, Hype, for those of you that don't know you, and I know you as a Twitch streamer, I know you as a person, why don't you tell everyone out there a little bit about yourself?
I am a 21-year-old student in pro wrestling. I am a student at Maryland Championship Wrestling. I signed up for their brand new backstage production course back in June. Totally new thing. I'd never seen anything like it in pro wrestling. Like I've been always wanting to do pro wrestling commentary, and it was the perfect opportunity. It was local. I've been streaming on Twitch for 5 years. I started as a gamer, Hype Life Gaming. I have been doing commentary for the last year and a half. Thanks to Medusa and the Mad Mod Squad, who gave me the opportunity to do commentary on her stream with the Sarge for Zicky Dice's Outlandish Paradise, January 15th, 2022. And I've never looked back since then. Only looked forward.
Yep. You move forward, never backwards, and I know that a lot of your commentary on Twitch is towards the major brands, but you are knowledgeable about the independents, which is very good.
I'm learning more and more every day.
Oh, believe me, watch a little bit of of anyone from TNA that does streaming, and you'll learn a lot about how it goes. So And this is kind of a segue here, but what's in your glass?
I got water. I got ice cold water in my Mickey James Master Class bottle.
Yeah, got to meet her. I'm doing black velvet in my coffee, which surprises no one. And I definitely want to thank our bartender and the wonderful people over at Fans First Sports Network for keeping the lights on in the dive bar. You know, we appreciate them as much as we appreciate our community and the fans out there. Now, we were talking before the show, you and I, about some events coming on in February. Give us a little promo. What's going on here?
Well, before February, this Saturday, MCW Seasons Beatings will be in Frederick, which will feature Angelina Love. And then going forward to February, pretty huge announcement from MCW. In fact, it was so huge that Fightful picked it up and they were like, let's run this story. Like, I had never seen anything like that where Fightful was like, oh, wow, let's pick up this story about where these two people are heading. MCW is running their second Fan Jam, which is a huge meet and greet event, which will be followed by an anniversary show. This year, it's going to be headlined by the newly free agents by that time, Matt Riddle and Nick Nemeth, aka or FKA Dolph Ziggler.
That's
It's a pretty
awesome.
big deal. Over 20 stars are going to be there. Last year, the Hardys headlined and Mickey James. A lot of great talent were there. And this year they're topping it. It's insane what they're doing at MCW. I'm glad that I'm able to be a part of it going forward.
Oh, and you know, no inside baseball. That's kind of a rule here. The fans and viewers know. Can you give us a little bit about? Do you have any specific involvement, or as a talent going in, or anything like that?
There are some things that are being worked on in the near future. That's what I will say. You know, working on commentary, working to push towards commentary. There's some stuff that's coming in the future. Keep your eyes peeled to MCW, which is on Premier Streaming Network now.
Whoa!
Seems a lot of promotions have been going over to Premier Streaming Network.
Oh, right on. So, like, and what? Because you're taking courses, you're learning to be talent, you're learning the business. Is there anybody you've had interaction with, like as far as independent talent or somebody that's not WWE, AEW, that really strikes your interest?
Yeah, there's actually one particular. There's a couple actually that are actually MCW homegrown. Like they trained at MCW. They're really, really reaching the top, which would be Miles Hawkins, 99 overall. Miles Hawkins, definitely keep your eyes peeled out for him in 2024. He's taken a lot of bookings. And Miami Mike Walker, both two incredible homegrown talents at MCW, two of the very best that MCW has to offer, and they're making their names, on the indie scene. It's absolutely incredible to see what they're doing.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot. What really makes them, like, what's striking you about them?
They know who they are. They know exactly who they are, who they are meant to be, and they just know how to captivate the audience.
So it's promo skills and
skills and ring skills, how to interact, interacting with the fans very well. They're just and Miles Hawkins is an incredible athlete in his own right with his talent. Just extremely talented in ring, as well as Miami Mike. They definitely both have their things about what makes them who they are.
So, like, you would say that they've got the promo, they got the look, they've got the in-ring.
Yeah, absolutely. They're both coming along very well. I mean, I've only been there for 6 months, been at MCW for 6 months. They've been doing this for a bit, In fact, Miles Hawkins went on a tour to Europe not too long ago, and so has Miami Mike. He's traveled around the world too as a wrestler,
Like
and
just
working his
taking
way around the
bookings,
Indies.
or yeah, like taking bookings with a company.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Like, 'cause I know Britain itself is, and I was talking with a Brit tonight about that. The Knight family is still one of the biggest promotions in England right now. ICW is running a ton of shows now because that lockdown killed a lot of independents.
Yeah.
As it like Session Mouth Martina, I put her over all the time. You've heard me rant and rave.
Yes.
She's in the States. Like, she was originally going to be that ROH booking. Like, she cut promos. It was going to happen. Then lockdown. But now somebody else has picked her up. So she's running through, and that interchange is happening now. Now, speaking of independence and like everything, TNA, what's your thoughts on them going from Impact back to TNA?
I think it's definitely a way for a new beginning. It's a fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
Impact has been going in the right direction. Their product has, progressively been getting better. They've been getting better talent, and they were they were trying to figure out what's next that they can do. The
Yeah.
saying, "What's old is new again," and this might just be that thing that can take Impact from here to here now that they're TNA again
Yeah, because I
come
know,
January.
because watching even their product, they've upped the production. Like, it wasn't bad. It just had that indie hard cam, old school feel. They're bringing that back into play. The promos are just knocking out the park every time. I love the booking. The women's wrestling is top notch there.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a great women's roster. In fact, whenever I'm going through social media there and somebody asks who's the which company has the best women's roster, and I'll see a lot of people say Impact, and it usually shocks a lot of people because you look at WWE and they have a pretty stacked women's division.
Mm-hmm.
Even more stacked now.
Well,
with some training.
yeah, that was something that was discussed on the other show that was going on, that Marsh works in that crew, where Triple H at a media scrum said, alluded to the idea that she wasn't ready, and I've been saying that since the get-go. She needs work. Like, I almost wonder if WWE as a whole was sold a bill of goods, because that she came off, she was getting pushed, everybody was clamoring for her, but was it they were clamoring because she had attention, or were they clamoring because she was skilled?
It's really a matter of her look. I think the look is exactly what they see in her as a star. And now to, help her improve, because she is somebody, and she's mentioned this multiple times, how she wants to get better. She wants to improve. And she said she's now has the opportunity to learn from the very best. And she's going to the performance center every day. She's really putting in that work. Especially, when you're going from one place to another. This is her, second big wrestling promotion or sports entertainment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which is different, and that's
Yeah.
something I found as the culture shock when you have these indie wrestlers that come into a bigger company. They're hungry for it, but not everybody's trained properly. Not everybody goes to a decent school. They always pick up bad habits, and some of them are just too hard-headed to learn.
Yeah, and that happens a lot with people who don't want to learn. You see it all the time, and that's the most difficult thing. That's such a closed-minded idea. That's something you definitely don't want going into this business. There are so many top, people, top legends in the sport that are available to be reached out to who want to help.
Yeah.
And nobody's doing it. It's honestly, if I had the chance to message some of the people and ask advice from a lot of these people, I'd be running at that opportunity.
Right. I mean, because you're coming from MCW and watching their training and everything that they've got going on. You just talked about two guys that got your attention. They're ready to go. They're taking bookings. They're impressive as a whole. And that says a lot for MCW, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, because I know that they've run shows. They're kind of like a trainer and a company. They've had, you know, the likes of MJF, like some of the names that people would know. You know, who's a few that people would know that came out of MCW.
Adam Cole was in MCW at one point. The Hardys actually came out of MCW. They went back and trained at MCW when it was Bone Breakers. Leo Rush is MCW. Action Andretti is MCW as well, to name a few.
So they obviously, you know, bring out a lot of hot talent that are, you know, stand in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know as far as the women, and that Mickey James is definitely a Hall of Famer. I mean,
Yeah, Mickey James also somebody who came out of MCW.
like, she is the only person I have ever seen that she was so good she brought another company's heavyweight title with, or women's title, to a Royal Rumble.
Yeah, that was a huge groundbreaking moment. And was that this year? Was that or last year?
Yeah, that was this year, I think.
Geez, this year has been quite the year. There's just so many crazy things that have happened in 2023. Absolutely a crazy year to be a pro wrestling fan.
Like, I've been keeping an eye on a lot of these training schools that, you know, tend to run their own promotion. Because we have Artemis V. Watley, as you know, is Tyler Gray.
Yep.
He's got a good school down where he is now, and like, it's the independents. I think we're on a resurge, you know, especially with good training schools. Because I think it used to be, and everybody hears these stories of bad wrestling schools where they're getting taught so badly that they're an injure to themselves as well as to others. So hearing that more people are coming out of MCW, they're a good school. They've got a lot to talk about, you know. And I know you can't, like I said, no inside baseball here, but, you know, what has it been like for your training? Because this is your first school. Like, what are some of the things they've had you do? Where have you, from where you started to where you are now, 6 months?
I've learned a lot in terms of how to set things up, in terms of what they do for their commentary, all that stuff, helping set up everything. You know, we do all the production stuff. It's a lot of work, and they're teaching us all these different things, and they're sending me in a different direction, which goes on with that on-screen role, which will be seen in the near future.
We'll
But
see where it goes, right?
yeah, and I just have the opportunity to pick on so many minds.
So many
Like,
big names that are still there.
yeah, there's a lot of people that are there. There are some people that are there that you don't really think about, that nobody knows, that nobody really knows, but like has so much knowledge and has worked with some of the top people. Like, I don't want to name them by name,
Well,
but one of the people that are at MCW worked closely with a Hall of Famer at one point,
right
and
on.
worked in OVW, does commentary, and that's who I've been learning from. Is one of MCW's commentators, been in the business for 23 years. I'm learning from him a lot. Like, he is a mind that I get to pick from a lot, and it's great. And he wants to get the best out of everybody. He doesn't want anybody to come out of this being like you know, a
Yeah,
dickhead.
like,
Pardon my
when
French.
that's fine here. We're a dive bar. It's okay.
Okay. But yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, because we bring on independent wrestlers, you know, to talk about their experiences, people, and you're the first commentator, somebody who's going from legitimate training from legitimate people. Now, with it being from the commentator, I mean, my question is, do you help put the ring and all that, or do you just help set up the commentary equipment? Like, how do you switch back and forth to that?
So I don't help set up the ring at all. That's not
Oh,
my department. They don't want the production people helping
mhm.
set up the rings at all. It's just a matter of keeping things separated and whatnot. So what we help up with, we set up all the backdrops, make sure the audio is good, all the lights are good. We travel with all these things, make sure all the entrance stuff is good, all the curtains are set up, all that good stuff, all the speakers that go around the corners of the ring to make sure the audio is good, making sure it's not too close so there's no feedback. It's very
Oh,
interesting from who I've gotten to learn from, especially our sound guy. He's taught me a good bit too. It's great who I get to learn from, who people who've been in the business for quite some time. It's great. It's truly great. You really don't know, like a lot of the names you don't know. You never know who you're going to learn a lot from. It's just crazy.
yeah, they had what was it? Who was just who left, resigned from AEW? It was God,
Kevin
sorry.
Sullivan.
Yeah, not, and by Kevin Sullivan, we don't mean the Taskmaster. It's just same name. Like that that was a day and a half of even, Kevin Sullivan, the wrestling talent, was like, "No, I didn't get released from AEW. That's not a thing." But this Kevin Sullivan was a guy that if you knew, you knew. If you didn't, you didn't. Uh, Very talented guy, very knowledgeable about the business. The real shock, I mean, I thought it was across the bow, and I'm wondering where he's going to go. I personally think, as I said before, this is going to be the rise of the independents. This is that time where a TNA, who just got another TV deal. Is it like we're just going to see these companies who have great homegrown talent. They're either going to rise to, a TV end of the world, to, being a major player, or their hot talent is going to be, featured on big names out in bigger companies.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you're mentioning names, and we had just recently WWE had a bunch of independent talent they brought in for NXT and did a whole ring with him, and that was huge. I mean, obviously, we know as wrestling fans that means there's a call up, as with every company with multiple brands. But I can tell you, I might know a few names, but the average viewer is going, "Who are you? Show me what you got." Uh, Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah.
It
Lexus
like
King.
Alexis King, right? Sorry, I gave his shoot name out of that. Uh, he was on the independents for years because he had a black mark because of his father. You know,
That was a good scoop by WWE.
oh yeah, like he's some of the commentary he's been doing. You can tell he was indies because a lot of independents don't script their talent. They go, "Here's your marks, hit them." Because they don't
Yeah.
have an entire writing team. And I think we're starting to see that in some of the larger promotions are following suit because you have people, Tony Storm as an example. You can tell nobody's given her a script.
Yeah. She's great.
I love the timeless Tony Storm. So good.
Yeah, and she's really making the best of it and really, giving that 1920s starlet vibe.
Oh yeah, it's and I agree, after long consideration, this is a gimmick of a sports entertainment, not a wrestler's gimmick. And
Yeah.
that's a huge difference. Yeah, and in a sea of names and a long list of them, she's the unique one.
Yeah. Absolutely. She's definitely taking the AW women's division to that next level, especially now that she is once again the AEW Women's World Champion.
Yeah, and
Has an opportunity to elevate it extremely. Imagine when Jamie Hayter gets back. Somebody like Jamie Hayter gets back in the fold.
yeah, I always wonder where some of the because not like I said, shot across the bow. There's been some people that have come off that still work the indies, like Lady Frost. She's not signed to a contract, but she's been featured on two of their brands like 6 times.
Yeah.
And she's amazing. Like anybody who's seen her work, good Lord, that woman can go.
Yeah, what was she featured on Collision most recently?
Yeah. And that was, that was her, like her 6th time. I know because you see her booking, she always posts them to her social media. And she's been making rounds in between those major showings. I'm waiting her to pop up and like it. I know she's done Impact a couple times. Much like Masavich has done with the MK Ultra tag team that she was doing for a minute.
Yeah.
So you're starting to see like single bookings, like come in one off, do a match kind of thing, or getting like a so much deal in a short period of time, run a thing. So I think that's where, like New Japan, we're gonna see Jay White, because he's got very limited booking, like a Brock Lesnar. I think after that he's gonna go back.
Well, Jay White's doing pretty well for himself in AEW right now. It wasn't quite what he expected in the at Full Gear, but he had quite the run taking the championship from MJF for quite some time and making sure MJF couldn't get a hold of it until MJF beat him at Full Gear.
Which is an old school, like Rocky Mountain sort of way to work, stealing the title, making the champion work for it. Like that's old school.
Absolutely. I love good some old school wrestling. It's what I look at the most, especially when I'm listening to commentary, because you don't get better than some of the old school stuff. Like Gordon Sully is who I go back to. I go back to old school championship wrestling from Florida. I'll go back to Mid-South to listen to JR.
Yeah, drunk JR, best
WWF.
JR.
Yeah, I'll listen to some WWF to Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. It doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, Bobby Heenan I've argued this before, is arguably one of the best commentators that has ever existed in professional wrestling.
Absolutely. And not only that, one of the best managers in pro wrestling as well.
Yep, he made it work. He was calling Hogan a heel for like 20 years, and when it finally happened, he was like, "See, I've been telling you for 20 years." And that was so good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna refill my glass real quick here. I've got to thank our bartender. Good Lord, I'm having a night, I promise you. Fans First Sports Network, they're keeping the lights on. They're technically refilling my drink. Hats off to them. Sponsored, not sponsored, as we say here on the Chaser. So, new topic, something I've been kind of mulling over. I hate social media. But Taz went on a little bit of a kick recently. Now, he no longer does his whole podcast. He does just his commentary with AEW, but he went on a whole thing about what it means to be over. What is the real litmus test in his mind? And we'll start on that, because he went all over the place. It was his thing that and I agree with this, that the TV metrics don't mean you're over. It's the crowd that tells you you're over. From your perspective, I mean, you're learning the business at the ground up. What do you think about that?
There isn't a truer statement. It's the crowd. You're over if the crowd. You can be on TV. You can be somebody who was called up to TV before you were ready. Doesn't mean you're over. It just means you were scouted and may not have been the right time.
Yeah,
but who's to say? And I think you have to listen to the crowd. That's the whole point. That's what you strive for. That's what they feed off of. That's what the wrestlers, that's what the managers feed off of. They feed off of the crowd. They want that reaction from the crowd. That's what they're going for. With every word they say, there is meaning behind it, whether they want the boo or the cheer. You want people to either hate you, really want to like come after you. Like even after the shows, like how it used to be, like when when
Cornette used to
managers
carry a
are
gun.
guys like Cornette, they were worried for their lives, but I mean, he had the Midnight Express, so
Yeah, when they went heel, he had to he was ready to go.
yeah.
And I agree with that. John Cena said it once when he was facing Roman Reigns a few years ago. He was like, love me or hate me, but the fact of the matter is, they're the key. And the worst thing you can have from the fans is indifference. And I think that's true because, I've seen a lot of TV stuff and I've watched people's careers fall, that it was not that the TV ratings, the demographics, which I fucking hate hearing, because watching TV, it's especially a lot of the base fans, they're going to watch it. They're going to do the 3 hours. They're going to do the 2 hours and they're going to want to see one guy, but they're going to watch the whole show to wait to see it. It's like the episode that had CM Punk back. People sat 3 hours for like a 5-minute promo. Were they into all the other matches? You could tell by the audience.
Yeah.
You can tell when they're hot mic if you just pay attention for 5 seconds. Like the women's squash match, dead silence. And it's not that the wrestling ring, the wrestling was great for the most part, but nobody was invested. There was no reason for this match except for, well, we want to be contenders, and that's great. But if there's nothing backing it, nobody cares. There's no investment. And that's
Make it
kind
make
of,
sense.
yeah, make it make sense.
Yeah, that's the saying. I hear it all the time. Make it make sense. If it doesn't make sense, don't do it.
Yeah, because nobody's going to pay attention. Even in long-term booking, because you've seen it 6 months. Have you seen long-term booking at MCW?
Yes. They very much so focus on their long-term booking. In fact, we have some stories that are about to close up at
Kick
the end
off.
of the year. The one thing that I like is that they
Mhm.
do year-long stories and they close them up on their last show to have a fresh start the next year. I like that. It's you don't see I want to say you don't really see that a lot with indie shows. You don't really because you get a lot of top talent that do like one-offs with most indie promotions. They're just putting a show together to make money. That's what they're
Yeah,
doing. They're not doing it because, they wanna tell a story. That's what one thing I've really enjoyed about MCW is it truly is, they really truly try to book a show that makes sense, make it make sense. You've got the best people putting the shows together.
yeah,
It's just a great process to see and to see how these stories are progressing. It's great to see, and a lot of great stuff is gonna, you know,
come out from
come to
there.
an
And
end just on December 30th for their final show of the 2023.
yeah, because they're going to go, into a fresh year, much like a WrestleMania, much like an all-in sort of thing. It's that reset point. And
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense because you look at good booking that's a long-term storytelling point. That's where you tell where you have a good promotion, because I think that if you're one-offing a major talent, they need to take the L to your top talent to bring them to that next level. But I think at the same juncture, as the veteran, as the person successful in the business, making serious money, that they need to have a say in it too.
Yeah. And I wanna bounce back off that talking about having top talent put over, the stars over. This
Mhm.
actually happened back in June for the Shane Shamrock Cup. It was the finals. They did it was a pinfall elimination for the last round of it. There
Mhm.
was 6 guys in the match. It came down to Miami Mike, who
Mhm.
we talked about earlier, and Mike Bailey. And those
Speedball
2
Mike
hit each
Bailey.
other hard, and Mike Bailey really gave it everything he got, but Miami Mike walked away with the victory.
Yeah, he made it look good. It wasn't just the poke of doom. or I pulled a quad just stepping in the ring.
Yeah, no, this was a top tier, finish to the match. It was absolutely incredible. And then Miami Mike won the Shane Shamrock Cup.
And it made it look good. And that I bet you that, and I don't know, I'm going to take a guess because this was another subject that kind of brought in by Taz, that everybody who was there looking to make this a career, to make this, bigger than themselves, they were picking his brain left and right, much like they do everybody else.
Yeah.
But I get it, because Taz went on to say, it's not the same as it used to be. I mean, yeah, introductions are good. That's definitely something you want to do, but not everybody necessarily is, gonna ask a talent. Not everybody's gonna walk up to the Undertaker for, lessons, this and that. Do you see more so from your position of, any big game that comes in, everybody kind of gang piles, or is it more like certain guys know where they are and know their place?
Everybody definitely seems to know their place. But a lot of the top talent that come into MCW, almost pretty much all of them, they are
Mhm.
so giving. That's what I like about MCW is truly like a family when it comes backstage. It truly
Right.
is.
And that's why I kick over and we keep talking about MCW. It's not so much that we're putting over the show, but we are putting over what they're doing because they're a great company. Uh, your experiences, as a person, as somebody coming into this, because as I recall, you were going to go for actual in-ring talent at one point, but you got injured.
That is
Uh,
true. I was supposed to go in as an in-ring talent, and then I got hurt a few times.
yeah,
And I just said, "You know what?" Even the doctor was like, "You're never gonna compete in the ring. You're gonna end up in a wheelchair." And I'm like, I still wanted to force it anyways. I was working out every day. I was getting the best shape of my life. And, I was like, and then I realized, commentary really is where I need to be. I do have when I'm learning to have even more so every day, every time I get on the mic and do commentary, the gift of gab. I've, learning, getting better at it. It's just something like the first night, when I did Vicky's Outlandish Paradise, you guys were
yeah.
like, "Wow, that was a great start," that was good for, someone who's never done anything like that before. It was totally a last minute thing. I did notes, and I never stopped doing that. I do notes for every show. I mean, they've definitely progressed how I format my notes, and sometimes when I'm doing notes, this is a little bit of insider,
Mm,
but this is just,
it it's
when I'm
inside you, not inside
inside
commentary.
me. No, it's inside me and how it is as a wrestling commentator when you're doing your notes. For me personally, I have to when I'm feeling it. It depends on how I'm feeling, what style I feel I need.
Mm,
Because around the springtime, like May, I was really doing a lot of like written paragraphs of things that I wanted to bring up and just writing the entire storylines of like what led to this match happening. And that's something that was important to, especially with big feuds like Lesnar and Cody at the time. That was something that was huge. And that was
mm,
important, but more, I try to keep it simple now, especially
mm,
I don't want to do too much writing. 'Cause then
right.
it'll, really catch me off guard. I try to keep it simple. The 2 people who are in the match, that what their moniker is, their signature moves, or signature move, and their finisher. Keep
And
it keep it simple.
Taz went the same way, and he kind of, again, he went on a lot. Like, this was the biggest run I've ever seen him make.
Yeah.
He went the same way. He got injured too much to where he went commentary, and then he stayed commentary, and he does a great job being
Yeah, absolutely. Taz
heel.
is great. I love Taz as a commentator. He truly has it. Even,
Yeah.
2000 SmackDown. He
Mm,
made 2000 SmackDown what it was, his voice. Just it gives me the good vibes of what the, you know, early mid 2000 SmackDown was. with the SmackDown fist and everything, with the huge fist on the display and everything.
Oh yeah, and it shows. Like
Yeah.
the in-ring talent that transfer over tend to be, in my mind, um, more adept at it because they know. They've been there. They know how to work. They know who's working. Uh, and that I think is a big difference. And you walked in knowing you needed preparation. You weren't sure how. You figured it out. Uh, and how's that? Like, if you were to tell somebody, knowing what you know now, what is the biggest piece of advice is that you would give them?
Keep going.
Keep
Keep
going.
going. Even when the odds are stacked against you, when you feel you wanna quit, when you feel you're at your lowest, keep going. If you need to take a break, take one. I found that out the hard way, getting burnt out. Like, I pushed myself further than I ever did streaming 5 times doing commentary 5 times a week at the highest level. Like, even my voice now, it is the way that it is because of Dynamite last night. It is the way that it is because, you just got that's what one thing, when you feel it, you gotta feel it. If you don't feel it, then you're not in it as a commentator. You have to feel it because if you're faking it, if you're faking the emotions, the audience is not stupid. The audience is very smart and they know when you're not telling them the truth. They want to be told the truth. They want to feel what you're feeling. That's the important, when you're watching the television programs, you're listening to the commentators calling the matches. Otherwise, the matches, you can have a great match, but it's not, as exciting as it could be without a voice of wrestling, somebody who is interested in the match, calling everything so that you can learn about what's going on. And that's really how you learn as a wrestling fan, is listening to the commentary while you're watching it, because then you learn the moves. And there's so many incredible moments that have been created on commentary. It's just and it's fun. I just find it fun. It just happened to fall into my lap, and anybody who would want to pursue to be a commentator, I gotta say, if you have it, if you feel you got it, and you feel that this is what you want to do it. Just do do some tape studying, watch and listen to Gordon Sully, and watch some old championship wrestling from Florida. That's my way of doing it. Listen to what they're saying and look at what the wrestlers are doing, because you may learn some new things about what they're calling a certain move, or what they are calling at a certain time, some things that they're saying, the tone of their voice. There are so many different things to take away, but at the end of the day, it's all about finding your own voice, because you can imitate anybody, but then they would just want to go listen to that commentator. Give them a reason to want to listen to you. And that was some advice that was actually given to me more recently.
Yeah, it's like my favorite commentator of all time is Joey Styles.
Yeah. We've talked about
Like,
him before.
yeah, he one man chaired everything, and the thing he's known for was the "Oh my God!" Like, that was kind of his signature, but it emphasized when he did it, there was something significant going on that was just over the top. And to put it over, like, yeah, it was crazy. I've been to a show, way back when. Styles made it the reason that everything was so good. And like even Gordon Heenan. Heenan, even in a monotone, but when it was that big point, he went in.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
a lot of Heenan's career as a commentator, it was local. It was like, maybe the local casting at best. And it goes back to the TV metrics. I'm like, nobody cares about the TV metrics. It's great that, it's there to make your TV audience or your internet audience, kick over. But like, I think the crowd is the barometric to go with,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
and I think also, like, after you've done a review and you've watched a few tapes of yourself, this was the advice I was given to do the show. Was take it video, just take a random subject, just record yourself doing it, and then go back, look at your recording, look at somebody who does it the way you want to do it, and then try it their way. And once you feel good about it and get your own style, then go do something with it. Like in the terms of commentary, I'd say go to your independent promotions, give them a video that you're proud of and let them see it. And, they might, give you a handshake and a hot dog, but, when you can say, I did X promotion for this much, and then you can take that up and up and up.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just so many different ways to learn to get better. And that's just even just life
Yeah.
lessons. Just if you want to learn something, just go for it. Listen to yourself. If you, especially in this industry, listen to yourself back, see what, watch your stuff back, see what you can do to get better. Especially have somebody with you that can help you. Have somebody who is well trained, somebody who is well known, who can, maybe critique it, who is willing to critique the match and telling you what you can do better. Because there are a lot of, veterans in the wrestling business who want to help younger talent, who just
And
want to do it just to do it because they enjoy it. They love this sport. That's why they did it for as long as they did. That's why they're still involved, even if they're just, retired and watching as a fan at this point.
yeah, and they're looking at TV, and I guarantee you, because Cornette, for what he is as a historian, great respect. I think everything else is a little much, but if you listen to stuff that he did as a manager, as he's done as a commentator, as some faux executive, he knows the inflection. You have to show it, and every commentator that did with Smoky Mountain, that was their thing. He made sure they knew because he did it before. He's been there forever. He's been in the business since he was real young.
Yeah, he started off as a photographer and worked his way into managing.
Just like Heyman.
Yeah. And I guess you could say kind of like what I'm doing too.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Like,
Well, I am being trained to be a manager. I will say that much. And I'm also the one who films the shows currently. I help film. I'm one of the filmers when they have their shows.
and now to bring a counterpoint, because there was a counterpoint address that was very interesting about who it came from. Looking over, it was brought to my attention by on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. But why Alyssa? That Tully Blanchard had specific points on this topic because I guess it's making the rounds. He said that this is what he would give Tony Khan and the wrestlers of AEW. No talent asked him or Arn for advice, and Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson are legends in the business.
Yeah, part of the greatest faction of all time.
Arn Anderson, to this day, made the Spine Buster a devastating move.
Absolutely.
He said that he had limited association with other talent, but as a surprise, CM Punk showed him a lot of respect, which I get. It makes sense. Now, as an aside, he says he does not know what the elite do as EVPs. And I think there needs to, your talent should either be talent or backstage. You're either producing, managing, in the ring, or in the back.
Absolutely.
Can't
have it both ways.
And that, exactly, you can't have it both ways. And there's something to be said for that. And Taz kind of touched on that too. They do something, they do things, but this is just the promoter, Tony Khan, the guy who writes the checks, wants to keep it that way, wants it to be that way. And, you can't necessarily say you like it. If you don't like it, don't watch.
Absolutely.
Don't be a part of it. That's a lost art. Like the art of, you know, being able to say no, recognizing your value, but also being respectful enough that if you want to get to that next level, I personally, were I a talent, I would try to live at Arn Anderson's house. I would be at his front porch every day
Yeah.
because him, his brother, the Four Horsemen were over for decades. Like
Yeah.
decades. And that's huge. It's much like William Regal. I would follow that man anywhere.
Yeah. He was in
Like,
AEW for like what, 6 months, and no one took advantage of that. I mean, he did his in-ring sessions with,
yeah,
before the shows, and there were some that got to
I,
take advantage of that, but that's somebody who you want to pick their brain. That if there's somebody whose brain you should be picking in terms of technical skills, it's William
yeah.
Regal.
And I think even on the basis of promo skills, because he was a heel across multiple companies and considered the best. He was the gentleman villain.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you can tell MJF definitely picked his brain.
Yeah.
And that became an on-screen thing to where now everybody loves him. Whatever. I heard the phrase once and I don't remember it, but I know I loved it. Like, that's over. I don't remember what he said on this particular XY event, but damned if I wasn't watching it. And the crowd, every time, it's like, love him or hate him, CM Punk gets a reaction.
Absolutely. I mean, he brought in a lot of eyes. I mean, it's WWE's most liked post on X. It's insane, comparatively to his debut in AEW to his, to his return to WWE. It's just a different fan base. Both were great. Don't get me wrong. Both were absolutely great. And he had a great stint in AEW. And would I have loved to have seen more? Absolutely. But I think now there's a great opportunity, a lot of great opportunities for him in WWE. And it just crazy. You got the return of Randy Orton and CM Punk in the same night, blowing off the roof of the Allstate Arena in Chicago, or Rosemont, rather.
Yeah, it was a big thing. It was getting eyes on the product because the fans knew. It's like LA Knight. It's the crowd will always go LA Knight. Yeah. He's over.
Yeah. You can't buy that. You
No,
can't buy what LA Knight has.
it's
He
like Stone Cold
fought.
Steve Austin,
Yeah.
All it took was the glass broke and you knew. Sorry, I apologize. I interrupted you.
No, you're
Carry
good.
on.
You're good. Absolutely. No, you're all good. I know you had to bounce off of that too with the glass breaking, CM Punk static, Edge, Adam Copeland's You Think You Know Me. Am I missing one?
The Rock.
The Rock. If you smell what The Rock
No,
is
The Rock
cooking,
is
that
cooking.
one too. It's just, and then you're going to hear a loud pop right after that.
Everybody loses their shit. The audience tells the TV audience, this is what you want.
Yeah. Like that static, that was a at Survivor Series, absolutely deafening.
Oh, I was
And I was
watching
still
it.
messing with my audio at the time, so I couldn't really fully hear it. I had to keep my audio low because I was still messing with settings. So I didn't pick up the static, but I heard the music and I'm like, wow, all of a sudden the new version of Cults of Personality. It's just crazy how everything came together with that. The remastered version of Cult of Personality, boom, 24 hours later.
Yeah.
CM Punk returns to WWE. No, like, and it's crazy because everybody was like, he's gonna be there. He's gonna be there. He's gonna be there. The day of the 24 hours, everybody's like, he's not showing up. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
And
Because
they
everybody
did.
waited so long. and everybody was, it took the time. There was so much time that passed that everybody started to lose hope, even though they already knew this time was passing to begin with. It was just a matter of, and even I, like at the end of the show, I wasn't sure. I was just I was about to be content with Orton returning, and I just enjoying the show, calling what I see. And then all of a sudden, bam, the static,
Yep.
multi-personality hits, and there he is.
Well, and I've seen a similar reaction from three at Impact. Might not be the larger audience, but one of the people that's backstage at WWE's Abyss.
Yeah.
And he's kicking ass. You have Rosemary, Havoc, Sue Young, Mickey James, just all of those people. You hear the crowd go no matter what. They start roaring, they start booing, they start cheering, and that I think translates better. But I think the metrics are shit. I mean, especially in an online capacity, if you went back maybe I think to the late 90s to maybe 2010, I think the metrics meant something. In terms of, we can say between this time and this time, these advertisers go here, here, and here. But I don't think that matters now. The internet changed the game.
Absolutely.
Like, I was watching one promotion's something out of the West Coast just recently on YouTube. I get to watch an entire show without having to have all that. Did it pay them well? No. Did they get some revenue off of YouTube? But how do you measure that metric? Do you measure it by the views? But you can't really translate that in the same way you could maybe back in the late 90s.
Yeah. Everybody's just so focused on viewership and everything. It's just also, the company who's focusing on it, when you're the head of a company and you're focusing on it. I mean, and that's important for him. That's important for the companies to look at that, because that's what, it keeps you going. You want to get better. You want to see your viewers going up. But you also don't want to dwell on that too much, because then you're forgetting about what you're doing, your purpose. You're doing a professional wrestling show you want fans to love, want fans to enjoy, so that they tune in the following week or the next for the next show and the next day or two, and then another show the following night.
Do you think merch plays a part in getting over and sort of a metric?
Yeah. I think it definitely leads. I think getting over leads to increase in merch sales. Like
it
LA
tells you
Knight,
longevity?
LA Knight. He is what he's done in the past year, from going from a supermodel manager to being who he is. Going, Max Dupree to back to LA Knight. It's incredible. He fought booking. He fought how he was booked, and he made it work, and he grew as a talent, and we're getting to see him shine how we saw him on the indies as Eli Drake.
At Impact, where he was a mainstay for a while too.
Yeah,
I always say your favorite, all your favorites come from Impact.
Yeah, that's where I was first exposed to him, was Impact.
Eli Drake was badass.
Yeah, it was early when he first got there. I wouldn't say when I started watching. It was very, like, I think he had just gotten there when I started watching. Because I remember when Nick Aldis was Magnus at the time, watching TNA.
And then he went to NWA, and now he's backstage talent. I know he wants to wrestle again. It just ain't happening.
Nick Aldis may wrestle Adam Pearce. You never know. I would pay to see that. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. Two former NWA heavyweight champions going at it. They're both general managers of the opposite brand. This is actually one of those times where they could have a match. A general manager have a match, and it would be like a solid match. Both incredible performers in the ring, I mean, with Nick
Yeah.
Aldis having, a more recent match than Adam Pearce, but even
What is it?
still,
Scrap Daddy Adam Pearce. I think that was
yeah,
his gimmick. Like he was in ring talent for a while and got injured, and then just kind of went to the on-screen role because he has a good presence.
yeah, he does great. He's been doing a great job as the general manager, even, when he was doing it for both shows, and then now it's Raw, and Nick Aldis was brought in for SmackDown. I think that was a great thing because I watching just from like a fan perspective. If I'm just
Mm.
looking at it from a fan perspective, I'm like, this is great. Like Nick Aldis is bringing it. Like, and he has a solid presence. He has a really good presence. Somebody, who
It
people
translates.
respect. It People respect him, and he, puts his foot down, and he makes people, he gives people a reason to respect him because he's not letting them step on his toes. Like, he's got that ability.
And as a
He has
general
it.
manager, he gets a pop for being a general manager.
Yeah.
And that doesn't translate so much to TV because you only hear but so much of the crowd reaction when he goes up because he's got to say something. It's got to be relayed. But you can tell by the crowd he's in.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
so
Took an RKO from Orton last Friday.
yep,
Yeah.
totally worth it too.
Yeah. Saw that one coming.
All right, so we're gonna switch gears a little bit.
Absolutely.
Gonna refill my drink a little bit. Our bartender, Fans First Sports Network, keeping the lights on. Cheers to them. Now, if you don't mind, here's the thing. Every time we bring someone on, and this is not a gotcha moment, don't think like that. Every time we bring someone on, I like to kind of humanize them and kind of show people, that like when we had Artemis Watley, we talked about his, how his real life impacted his career and as a father, as a husband, things like that. And you come from a little bit of a different end of things where you're in the commentator stuff, like between streaming, your college stuff, your work, like how much of a struggle has it been to pursue your dream?
It's not. I think with pretty much being done with college, except for 4 credits, I've kind of I took a break from college for the time being because now more than ever, things have been going up for me in MCW. And and as a Twitch commentator as well, especially, getting the opportunity to have a panel with the top, wrestling content creators on a panel. It was just incredible. I had Wheezy Blonde, I had Santi Zap,
You had Alicia.
I had Alicia from Girls Play TV, I had
Uh,
Evisu. It was
like
it was a great time, and yeah,
I know from Alicia's standpoint, she marked out. She loved
yeah.
it. She
Yeah,
was
and I'm
like, "Oh
glad I
my
was
god!"
able to have her there. It was nice to be able to have her there, and yeah, it's just there's so much that goes on to what I do, whether I'm making overlays. I think one of the most things that's been taking up a lot of my time right now is work
Mm,
more than anything because of the holidays. I don't know if
yep.
we've spoken about this recently, but I've had a new job for the last few months.
Oh, I did not
I
know that.
switched to retail. I work at Dick's Sporting Goods now.
Oh, good lord,
Yeah.
poor guy.
I I love a good discount. Um, yeah,
Oh, go ahead. Tell you don't even have to go there.
no,
Like,
I'm just saying I love a good discount. I get 25% off. I got, you know what?
oh,
I got pants. I got Nike sweatpants on clearance for $3.50.
what? Shit, if I could get a job like that. No, our Dick's Sporting Goods out here has like a huge fish tank gimmick, a whole hunting like display section with all sorts of cool stuff. I mean, it's like 3 stories. Like,
Wow.
what's yours? Like, is it huge,
It's a
small?
one
What?
it's a one story. It's a really wide, just a wide store. I wouldn't say it's definitely one of the smaller Dick's Sporting Goods, but it's still make no mistake about it, it isn't a small store. It's not like a CVS. It's not like a tiny CVS or you know what I'm trying to say.
It's like a
That's
regular Walmart kind of size or around there.
yeah, I'd say so. Well, it's in a whole complex where it is, where I'm
Oh,
at. It's in like a mall complex area.
so it's one of the they have a term for it. It's one of the anchor stores. There we go.
Yeah, definitely. It's a decent store. I really like working there. It's definitely
Mhm.
a big change from the food industry, which I am proud to have said, I'm proud to say that I put 6 years into it and I learned to cook along the way. That was one of those things. I cook. I'm a good cook. Well, I'm not gonna say it. I'll say I'm a great cook. I'll put that out. I'm gonna put myself over there. I don't wanna be
Well,
too humble. I'm a great
well,
cook and I'm a great baker. I'm gonna leave it there. And
no,
that's
no,
just
no.
one.
We're getting into that one. See, we know that you do all that, but you're also involved in a family business.
Yep.
So, has that been in it? Because I know you and your mom work really we're big into it. Which shout them
Yeah.
out. Come on.
Yeah, Granddad's Stash is our baking business. We are
Mhm.
local to Maryland. We can't sell out of state, not yet. It's with everything that's going on with what I'm doing, because at
Mhm.
MCW and just trying to get my stuff going with the streaming taking up so much of my time. And when I'm not, streaming, I've been working 5 days a week. The last, few weeks with the holidays going on, the hours are picking up. The customers are coming in, or what we call our athletes that come in. That's what they call the customers. They're athletes, and that's exactly what they are. They are athletes.
That's
They
fair.
play sports. Yeah, but yeah, there's just a
So
lot that goes on in the baking business. It has kind of been put to the side a little bit because so many things have changed. A lot has changed in the past year, and I still have, plans to, even if I do something on my own with, you know, I don't want to say permission from my mother, but I don't want to do it without her blessing.
right,
If I do my own business, to go back on my name, to have my name on my specialty,
right.
which I make brownies, do
Oh.
something. Yeah, I made my own recipe. It's 100% my recipe and it's 100% confidential.
That's awesome. And it's kind of funny because it sounds like, and well, I know the truth, our viewership doesn't. It sounds like you have a pretty good supportive family background.
Yeah.
I know you grew up kind of in a military family because your father was a United States Marine, Semper
Yeah.
Fi Biatch.
Semper Fi, hoorah.
Raw man, get them planks out. Go go. Um, and he also did lawyer stuff for a little while too,
Yeah, practiced international law for 30 years.
which is a lot. And do you think that as coming from that solid background, of having that family establishment, um, like the nephew that was not too long ago born, like a
Yeah.
lot of that family stuff, did that affect you going into the business and having the strength to pursue it
Um,
at all?
I always kind of, there's always backlash with my parents on things. I grew up in a family that was, focused on going to college, doing the simple do what everyone else is doing, because that's where I live. Everybody just
Mm.
stays here. Nobody leaves and everybody just does what they're doing. And I don't like that. I don't want that for me. I don't want to be stuck in this, quote unquote matrix where I'm stuck doing the same thing every day, waking up, going to the same job, hating my life. I don't want to leave any what ifs behind. The only
Mhm.
what if I may leave behind is stepping in the ring as a wrestler, winning a world championship. But
Right.
that's not what I'm worried about at this point. I'd rather have my health. But yeah, I mean, there was just some things about going back and forth, but they've been very supportive. Like, that my dad went to Vegas with me for TwitchCon, as I brought up, and
So
my parents have
awesome.
always been support my parents have always, been supportive of what I do. They
Mhm.
just heavily are focused on me getting and finishing my education up, at least my, associates. They were really heavy on the getting my bachelor's degree for a while,
Mhm.
but then we got to a point where it's like, "You know what? Just get your associates," because I feel I'm at a point where
Mhm.
next where 2024 could be my biggest year, and
Right.
it really could. I'm already feeling like what happened in 2023. I went to Chicago in February doing a school where I was on a school podcast. I learned
Yep.
that's where I learned a lot about podcasting and, doing the transcripts and all that stuff and interviews and what goes into making like that style of podcast. To
Right.
going to Vegas in October. It's just so many things have happened in this year, and then MCW was a big one too. It's just 3 big points this year. There's a lot, and 2024, it's gonna be a crazy year, and that's one of the reasons I kind of have been holding off in school because I'm like, I'd rather, focus on my career, focus where I'm at than step on my own toes and go back to school right away and hold myself back because I know previously I kind of lost a lot of momentum last year. Fall winter 2022, I
Mhm.
stepped on my toes so hard, I just lost everything. Like I had to restart all over again, including this year. Oh yeah, that was the biggest bet on myself that I made this year. How could I forget? I went from Hype Life Gaming, which I held that name for 4 years, and then I shortened it. I shortened the Hype Life part, hit
Yep.
type and went with the commentator because that's what I do. That's all I do. Only gaming to I went from, gaming and other stuff, but it was always mainly gaming to just commentary because that's what I'm passionate about. I want to be able to express, to share my passion with commentary with the world. And it may not be everybody's cup of tea, I'm not somebody you generally get an opinion out of because
Mhm.
I'm neutral. I'm a neutral commentator. I have,
Which I thank you for that.
know
Like, this is your first real interview of just you, isn't it?
um,
Or is it your second?
I don't know. This might be like my first official interview that
Woohoo!
I've done.
Episode 1, baby.
Yeah. This will be great. You can promote this when I get signed to WWE.
I was there from the beginning.
You know,
So,
beyond you and the Mad Mod Squad really were there from the
yeah.
beginning. Like, there's no doubt about that. If it weren't for the Mad Mod Squad, I wouldn't be where I am
Like,
today. At all.
that's kind of funny because a lot of what you're saying, I think, is a big point. As well, you didn't entirely set it aside. You were pursuing your dream. In a way, you have Nikki Cross,
Yeah.
just finished her master's in history.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, she took the
Mick Foley,
time.
he did
Yeah.
the same thing. Like that seems to be something that I found in the business is that they pursue their dream, they get to a point where they're comfortable, they finish their degree, that backup that, if something were to happen, I've got that.
Yeah. That's even something that I said. I said I can always go back to school. Like I want to be able to pursue this and feel comfortable where I am in the business. Like once I know I'm in a good position, like I want to go back to school when I feel like I'm going to get good use out of it because right now it's a more of a stepping on my own momentum right now, stepping on my toes and kind of messing with my momentum. I'd rather go back when it's time
Mhm.
instead of, just messing everything up because I even told my parents, I'm like, we made a deal. There was a few deals.
Mhm.
I'm very good at convincing.
Right.
And
The
it
gift of
was,
gab comes into play.
I, we made a deal. I said, if I get a full-time job, which I pretty much have,
Mhm.
if I work if I work and I can focus on my stuff, we don't have to worry about school for now. But they're very adamant on me at least doing the 4 credits, and I don't blame them. I just I just get anxiety thinking about going back to school because mentally I'm not there. I'm totally disassociated with that form of education right now because I am getting a different kind of education and
Getting a
in
practical
the form
education.
of yeah, in terms of wrestling school because that's where what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at right now. That's where
Mhm.
I'm at. That's where I can see my career going, and if I need a fallback plan, it's probably gonna be baking or whatever it may be.
Something
Commentary, worst
business.
if I get injured as a manager, commentary,
Yeah,
retire. That's the goal, man.
yeah, worst
Have
case,
a healthy
if
have a long, healthy career, make sure to keep myself safe.
now, and since you're now a recent uncle, we coming from what you know now, because right now is, you can't really talk about back. Right now is where you are. What would you say to him? What would you say to our audience? Hell, what would you say to my daughter in terms of, because it sounds like a lot of this is follow your dreams.
Absolutely. It's definitely follow your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you no. Like if there I post an excessive, and I mean when I say an excessive amount of motivational quotes on my Instagram stories, on my Instagram story, like it's absolutely excessive. Yeah, you know,
I do know, I do follow you. It's true.
it is
Damn
true
true.
because I truly believe everything I'm putting on there is because I feel it. It's stuff that I wish I had or going early on in this. It's stuff that keeps me going when I am in a dark place and I feel like I'm stagnant, even if it's, it just
Yeah.
sometimes I get to that point and, there's always, I've always had that mindset. You gotta be doing, there's always something that can be done. I tell people this
Mhm.
whenever I'm having like a conversation with them. Somebody said that you kinda like a TED Talk because I do, like, with my coworkers who are all around my age and younger, like, I ask, what do they wanna do? What's their career? Like, what are their career goals? And I always, try to come up and try and help them see what they look into their industry. Where can you start? Who can you get advice from?
Mhm.
There's always something that can be done to better what you are doing. And, what I've learned with commentary when I'm not streaming, it's doing better for overlays or learning how to use this microphone, learning to mess with the audio, fix things up, touch up on some things, you know.
Yeah.
Looking into 2024, exploring new social media platforms. And that goes for anything. Always figure out what you can do to make, put yourself in a better position than you were the day before. Strive every day. That's one of my favorite quotes is strive every day to become the best version of yourself. Day by day, get better and better. Don't It's not a competition with anybody else. As long as you're in a competition with yourself, you can't lose. There's nobody to compete. If you compare yourself to somebody else, you've already lost. Truly, you've already lost. You're not in that mindset that you're going to get yourself better. I've learned about this like when you're like a top content creator, you're in your own world. I actually had a conversation with one of the people that were on the panel. One of the people who, one of the content wrestling content creators was like, "Yeah, I don't really watch other content creators. I just do my own thing." And I'm like, "That's really what you do when you're at the top. You don't really worry about your competition, quote unquote competition." I like to believe I'm in my own category because I'm not doing a watch party. I'm offering an alternative form of commentary. If you don't
Sync
necessarily,
up the stream. You've got a third man on the panel, as it were.
yeah,
Well, and that I think is probably, at least from my perspective, but I've also noticed this seems to be a trend. We go back, 2 or 3 years. You weren't there, but you've grown to this point,
yeah,
because you started believing in yourself, going forward, following your dreams. What is it? Don't take no for an answer. Find a way. You can always achieve it.
yeah.
And that was
Mad
sort
Mod
of,
Squad helped me believe in me.
yeah.
When I didn't know what I wanted, when I didn't feel I had a purpose in life anymore, when I was about to, this is real. This is a really deep talk, and we'll touch up on this slightly to so we don't kill the mood completely. But
Well,
yeah,
no,
my
that's
life,
that's what we do. We're talking like we're in a dive
yeah,
bar, and
you guys
I'm
pulled
very
me up.
interested.
The Mad Mod Squad pulled me up, and I'll never, it's something that I may never be able to repay for saving my life. Literally, I literally didn't know where to go after after I was in a really tough situation, and I was stuck. I truly was stuck, nowhere to go, didn't know what was next, but being given the opportunity to be a mod for Medusa for 2.5 years, it helped me, and, it's like watching well, whatchamacallit? I'm trying to think a butterfly, like watching me form into a butterfly.
Yeah, and it was more than just modding. You had good friends and positive reinforcement
Yeah.
for your good steps, and if it was bad steps, it wasn't, well, you're X, Y, and Z. It was, all right, this is where you're at, but you can do this, and sort of evolving your, because we were friends, we were family, we
Yeah,
still
absolutely.
are.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're still our family, like,
I
even if
still
we don't
post
write
on
each
your
other
mom's
every day.
Instagram.
Yeah. Even if we don't talk to each other every day, that's the thing about having some, like, great friends. Even if you don't talk all the time, and the times that you do get the chance to talk, even through, a busy adult life schedule, it's like you never miss a beat. Truly,
Yeah.
like you never miss a beat. And I'm fortunate to have friends like that who aren't, like, because I've had gone through a lot of friendships before, and it would go from
Mhm.
season to season where those friends would be there for a particular period of my life, whether it was some of the people I met when I was still doing competitive gaming, which I thought I was going to have some of them forever. There's actually one person from that era of my
Shout out Hurtful Deer, baby.
besides her. No, I'm talking about that's a total different. I'm talking about from my competitive gaming era.
Okay.
Her too. We talk a lot too. She and I talk
Who
on a
who's
well,
who's
we send
your
each other memes every day on Instagram. But yeah, there's
I send her
one
cat
particular
pictures at 5 in the morning.
but yeah, there's one particular person I still talk to from my days gaming.
You
That
can
that
name them if you want.
yeah, no, it's nobody, like anybody knows. But yeah, there's
Nobody who's
one
streaming
person.
or
He does stream, but he does gaming stuff, and we talk here and there. But the reason, I kind of just left all that behind because I wanted to do something for me, and I wanted to be somebody who could be a positive influence on the younger generation, especially with the world, with the world we live in. There's a lot of need for motivation, for the future. You
yeah.
want the best out of what's going to be the future of the world. And I
And
want to be able to inspire people because maybe I definitely grew up a little bit more fortunate than others, but I definitely still felt that I worked. Like, if I didn't get everything I want. When I was younger, I got a lot of good things, but by the time I was 14, I got my first job. It was, if you want these, buy them yourself. You want this, get it yourself. I
yeah.
worked so hard to build the computer that I'm using today, my gaming computer. I worked overtime, like beyond overtime, working at a deli for $10 an hour. Like, that of course was, just barely pre-pandemic when I finished my computer, like, literally
Yeah.
just barely. In fact, it was still kind of, like, going on when I built it. It just
And
started, and I'm so fortunate, like, that I was able to do that, and that's kind of, like, part of evolving, going from a PS streaming on a PS4 to a computer to having a key to getting a second monitor and getting a camera, getting a second monitor, getting a key light, getting a microphone and a soundboard. That's
and a lot of that seems to be, and I'm just taking an interpretation here, is that part of what keeps your motivation is remembering this is where you were, this is
yeah,
where I am going
gratitude.
forward.
Be grateful for
Yeah.
what you have. If you're grateful for what you have, then you'll always be able to move forward. That's how you keep going forward. You can't dwell on the past, but what I will say is always be grateful for what you have. When you feel like you don't have anything, when you feel lost in the world, when you feel like you want to give up, you got to think about how far you came, what you overcame, where you started, where you are now. Like,
Mhm.
I literally just got a new mic and a soundboard for the first time, and I was only inspired to do it, not just because my mic was broken, because I would have just gotten an easy replacement.
Yeah.
But I decided that it was time to upgrade because of what I learned at MCW and how learning that's one of those things that I learned is how they set their commentary up with the soundboard is figuring it out. Although my soundboard's a bit different because it has touchscreen elements to it, and it's a lot more there's a
Fancy.
lot more to it
Mm-hmm.
in terms of fine tuning. But yeah, that's something that inspired me. You learn something new every day. And then
Yep.
slowly
And
it evolves and you get
that's
better and
great.
better.
Like, and that's one of those things that's great, as knowing where you are, knowing where you come from, learning those lessons and carrying forward. And sometimes you got to ask people who, are at where you want to be or are a stepping stone to where you want to be. But sometimes you also have to look, what are people, some people are, faking the funk, as I like to say. They think they're at that level, but they're really not. And you have to kind of learn to discern who really is somebody with that knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you got to hang out with Alicia. The GPTV is one of the highest viewed channels on Twitch.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to hang out Santi. Let's not take anything away from Santi. He pulls
Yep.
in 3K viewers a stream. He's
Blando does it.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't get to have Blando on my panel.
Oh, that's a shame. He was another one.
I
He was
was
so
I was
interested.
pushing for it, but I definitely want to have the opportunity. He is somebody I definitely want to have the opportunity to work with if what I have planned for next year's TwitchCon, if it goes through, I definitely want to have him involved because he gave me the idea when I was
Mhm.
explaining to him what was going on about the panel. He gave me an idea and I definitely want him included in it. Like I
Do
want it to
you?
be I just have gotten to pick the minds of content creators. I learned how to record vertically on OBS from somebody who was on my panel who unfortunately
Oh,
couldn't make it to the panel. But yeah, they told me how to do TikTok and how they do clips during the streams. And I'm like, thank you. Like, you don't get that from people who aren't giving, like he was very giving in that sense. And he was also very grateful for the opportunity to be on the panel, although he was screwed out of his hotel room and whatnot and couldn't make it. And it was a whole mess. But he still gave a lot to the panel in terms of our sound, our speaker deck, which is the what had all the info that we were doing and everything. The
mhm.
PowerPoint, rather. That's the word I'm trying to think of. Basically, it was our PowerPoint and our guide. But yeah, it's just you getting to pick the minds of other content creators. That's something as well. Even though they aren't quite in the wrestling industry, they're still in an industry I'm a part of as a content creator. If you're seeing somebody like Santi, and you get to have any kind of interaction and you learn something from him, he draws. Like, you want to talk about somebody who's over in the wrestling content, community? He is over as bleep.
Fuck. We're okay with all those words here. I mean, well, and that's kind of thing is that whether I know some companies like to fake the whole line, but it really is sports entertainment, and what you're talking about to it is the entertainment side of the sport.
Yeah,
Um, and Eddie, I've always believed that there is something to learn from everyone.
absolutely. You never know who you're going to learn something from. And the biggest thing for content creators, if you want to talk about where, pro wrestling companies are realizing it, taking a look at that CM Punk package about his return. You saw Wheezy Blonde, who was on my panel. You saw
Mm.
Santi, who was on my panel. You saw Suplex. You saw the people from Cultaholic, I want to say.
Yep,
What culture wrestling. You saw all these people that have really worked hard in content creation because it is difficult. You are posting on YouTube daily, whether you're traveling or not. Like Santi traveled wherever, was traveling around the world and or went on vacation for a week and still managed to daily upload. That's commitment. That's what strives me to want to work harder. That's what strives me to want to invest my time to looking into doing YouTube videos. And
perseverance, as it were.
doing YouTube, looking at TikTok, doing Instagram reels, doing YouTube shorts. If you aren't doing all that, you aren't getting yourself out there enough. And that's something I'm slowly learning. And, you work towards that goal, something like that. That's
Yeah.
something you kinda have to work towards, especially with what I have going on. I'm in a unique spot where I'm both in the content creation world, and I've interacted with all these pro wrestling content creators, but I'm also in the wrestling. I'm also in, like, the wrestling world,
The wrestling end, yeah.
I'm
And
in the business. I'm in the business just starting out and, looking to make a name for myself and, seeing how they work together, seeing how my content creation and you know, as a manager, as a commentator, work together. It's gonna be very interesting to see. And, it's crazy to think, I kind of want to say I'm breaking new ground, at least for professional wrestling content creation, because I'm going from somebody who's streamed streamed commentary, or someone who is streaming commentary, to someone who's also pursuing, the business, being involved in it, not just staying behind a desk for the rest of my life. And because that's not what I want. I want to travel the world. I want to experience the world. I want to be a part of something, of course, much bigger than myself. I want to learn from the best. It's something I enjoy. If you don't love if you don't love what you're doing, you really, you got to rethink things. But one thing I was definitely learned in school. I'll take one thing away from one of these things I learned from my economics class. Have a good career. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. If you do, but does it pay well? I know you got to think about all these things, business side of it as well. I know it's all about fun and enjoyment, and I love what I do, but you also got to think about, well, it's a high risk, high reward situation. And there's a lot of that when you go off the top rope. Well, I'm going off the top. I'm going off the top of a steel cage, betting on myself, on my wrestling career, and I had to convince my parents that this was the right call. I mean, they always believed in me. They wouldn't if I wouldn't be here without them. Literally.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of a thing.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, in terms of career.
Yeah, I mean that's I can kind of sum that up in a way that a lot of your background, a lot of where you came from, you learned a lot of hard lessons, but those hard lessons are things that as other people teach you, you are carrying it forward to teach other people, and I think that's very respectable because
Yeah.
not everybody does it.
Yeah, you gotta push through, you gotta work hard. Let me tell you something about hard times, baby.
Hard times, baby.
Truly, that's truly, working hard really do hard times, you know make you better. You got it,
Hmm.
it's testing. You're being tested to see if I saw this quote, and I probably posted this quote more than once on my Instagram story. You're being tested, all the hardships, everything that's being thrown at you, all the obstacles. You are being tested to prove and you're given the opportunity to prove that
Hmm.
you want what you say you actually want. And I've been hit with so many obstacles,
Oh,
this
I
year, and
bet.
there's a lot of obstacles I've been hit. A lot of, there's whether it's, mental or something that happened, whether
Yeah.
it's, mentally, it's all starts in here, the mindset. It all starts in here, and sometimes there's things you can't control, like a car accident. There's some things you can't go, you can't control,
Mhm.
but you push forward and you try to figure out what you can do to keep going.
And
But
that's a really cool like, and that's the thing is, we're doing a dive bar thing now. We're part of a wrestling network, fans first. But while we're doing that, it's still we enjoy what we do, but it's still a product. Still have to be successful. We can't just give up. Like you've seen some of my old layouts; they were garbage, and I got no problems admitting that. Compared to I'm in this position now where I represent a brand. I bet on myself. I bet on somebody who had two people out of this product that said you're going to stay, we like this, we like what you're doing. So I went, this is the thing I got to pursue forward, and a lot of that is because of your lessons. Where you have come from is because you, as you said, you went from gaming, to we had a position to go to commentary, and it just sparked a fire in you. And I went, I might not like to be on camera, but I believe in this. So I had to put the effort of, it could be the small things. It could be
I
as
know I'm
simple
your
as an
guest.
image.
I know
Yeah.
I'm your guest, but I do want to say that about, I am proud to see, you take that step on to being on camera because I know how much you hated being on camera. You'd always have like the little audio lines, whatever. I don't know what they're
The
called.
cat hitting the piano,
Yeah, it
Master
would say,
Shake moving up
where
and down.
the audio levels, the audio wavelengths, and you wouldn't show your face. This is a really, big deal for you to really break out of your shell as well. And I feel, that's something you learned from the Mad Mod Squad, just being
I
around Medusa is somebody,
being around
she brought the best out of all of us.
being around Medusa, being around Jessica Havoc, being
Yeah,
around Sue Young, Jamie
absolutely.
Senegal, and I get still to this day, I learned a lot from Daphne.
Yeah,
You know, she was, if anybody ever takes a lesson from that woman, no matter what you say or you don't say, mental health was a huge thing that she emphasized. Because if you're going to do something, whether you love it or not, you also have to be aware of when is too much too much.
yeah,
Because you're no good to anyone burnt out, and I know that you
absolutely.
talked about it earlier.
I know that firsthand. I have taken month breaks before I actually took off all of following whatever pay-per-view after in September. I want to say it was following Payback. I said, nope. I tried. It was, you know what? It was, I did Payback, but I didn't do All Out because my ears
Yeah,
were destroyed. My body was like, nope, you're done. I literally thought I was going to have issues with my ears for the rest of my life. And I'm like, and then I took the month off and I'm like, I came back refreshed, but I still felt like I was still trying to find myself again because it's been so long since I'd been comfortable behind the camera. And I picked it up and, now I'm starting to get in my groove again because, you got to find that fire again. I've been slowly finding that fire again. And, with working more, there's a little bit of inconsistencies with when I'm streaming, having MCW shows on Saturdays and, Fridays and Saturdays. There's just so many things. And right now I'm at a point where I've been happy with how my commentary has been going in terms of my energy levels because there were times where people could tell I'm not feeling it. And I literally have not posted. I haven't posted any of my, I like to post every stream right after they're done so that people
right.
can hear it back. But I didn't post for 3 weeks until and I haven't even posted the last two, but I'm about to post the last two because I was so impressed and happy with how I did
And
that
that's
I was
going
like,
back to being in competition with
I've
yourself.
yeah, I'm back to yeah, I was so focused on I think that was one thing that I let myself get, beat myself up over
Yeah,
was, after TwitchCon, thinking, everything was gonna be boom, 10,000%. You're gonna have 100 plus, 100, 200 viewers. You're gonna go right to Twitch partner. It's not that easy. It's just not that simple. It's not. And that's what I
it's
had to
work.
learn. It's not that simple. I mean, the first stream back, I had a really good spike. That first stream back, I got a huge raid. I got 40, 50. I want to say nearly, yeah, I got like 80 followers between 80 to 100 followers between Heel Josh, Santi, and Wheezy. They're great. Like they're extremely giving. And I was so fortunate to have, be able to work with them. But then I was like, why am I in this mental spot where I'm trying to compete with them? I need to be back to competing with myself. I don't want to compete with them. I like these people and I know it's a business. At the end of the day, the truth is you are competing with them no matter what I do because I'm doing this. I have the same time slot as them. I have the exact same time slot as them because we're all doing the same show, even though I'm doing something from a different perspective in a different way. I'm not doing, here's my opinion. It's here's commentary. You want to listen to this commentary and you want something fresh and new and different.
Well, it,
I
it
had to go
sounds
back
like,
to competing with myself and being the best version of
yeah,
myself.
and,
That
and that's what
fire.
I kind of feel like. What it is, well, yes, as a tertiary, you're going to be competing with them, but at the same time, the important step is to compete with yourself. I mean, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from you.
Absolutely. Always compete with yourself. That's the most important thing. You can't lose. Like I keep saying it. That's one thing that I've taken from all these quotes that I see every day. You should be striving to become the best version of yourself and only you're only competing with yourself because you can't be disappointed because you always see a positive change. I always say everything happens for a reason, for better or for worse. You'll find out why it was better later on. Some things, things happen you may not have wanted to happen, but it had to happen as a lesson,
I
you
like
know?
that.
And one thing I always do is like I always try to learn the lesson in everything. I make sure that when something happens that I didn't like, I always make sure to learn the lesson from it. It's extremely
Right.
important to learn from your mistakes, learn from, you know, just learn from issues, certain things. Learn to have patience. Patience is extremely important. That's one thing.
That's true. Uh, you know, and I definitely want to thank you because this has been a very important lesson. I think not just for me, but I think this will be helpful to everyone because, as you know, we're on YouTube, Wrestling on the Rocks. We're on Twitch, Wrestling on the Rocks. We're on Spotify, Wrestling on the Rocks. We're on, Fans First Sports Network. And this is a lesson you are giving back to the world, and I think that is not just admirable. I think it's a great lesson for everyone.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I got something, and I don't mean to cut you off
no, you're good.
by any means. Um, so now we're kind of winding down. Uh, Something we do here, and I think you'll like this. You know, since we're in a dive bar, we like to keep it classy. We like to keep it fun. So I started a trend on episode 1 because it's always episode 1, where we give a toast to something positive, something we're looking forward to, just anything we want to, give that shout out and all that love. And guest gets first honors. So give us a toast to something positive, uplifting, something you're looking forward to, anything.
Just the future, just working hard. I'm just happy to be in the position that I'm in. I'm grateful to have the people that I have around me because without that, having a great support system is truly everything. And having that ability to fight through, having that strong mindset, believing in yourself. I'm very fortunate to have the people who I do in my life around me and just keep pushing forward, man.
Hey, cheers to that, my man. I am. I personally, I'm very grateful for agreed. I'm grateful for the position I'm in. I'm grateful for everyone that has been a positive reinforcement. I am grateful to the business Edge Wrestling. Wrestling has given me a position I never thought I would be in. I really didn't. Um, so to that, I am looking forward to the world, the future. So since you have been here and you've gone through all of this and you've talked about your life, MCW, and everything, where can everybody find you?
You all can find me at on Twitter at hype commentary. Let me double check. I definitely changed my Twitter account like multiple times. Apparently, hype the commentator was too many letters. Hype commentator on Twitter. I am on Twitch, twitch.tv/hype the commentator. You can
Mhm.
find me on Instagram, instagram.com/hype the commentator. YouTube, I'm getting going, hype the commentator. We're working on that. You can find me at an MCW show. You'll probably see me filming. You'll see me soon enough on the show, one way or another. Just be on the
Nice.
lookout. You never know. What I keep telling people, you never know where I'm gonna show up in 2024. You never know. I don't even know what the future has for me, but I know whatever it is, I'm gonna do everything I can to be ready for it.
Awesome. And I'm Digi Damon. You can find me as DigiDamien WOTR on Instagram. You can always find me here. You never know where I'm going to be because I don't even know anymore because squirrels. With that, my friends, this is last call and cheers. I need a button. Hold on a second. Producer guy. I'm going, poke, come on, producer guy. Oh, this is so bad. This is so bad. Oh no. Oh no. See, this is what I mean. Episode 1. It's not gonna go right. There's always gonna be a clip somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I say. You know, you gotta have. You're always gonna be bad. Your first, you have to start somewhere to get better. You can't just be
True.
great right off the bat. You have to start somewhere. Your first podcast is gonna be bad. This is a quote. Your first podcast, your first, your first practice, whatever sport it is, first stream.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, my first stream was a joke. I'm learning everything, even just learning StreamYard with my new audio equipment.
Yeah.
Was interesting because I'm so used. I've only, just begun learning how to use an XLR microphone, how to use this soundboard. I've never, I know how to use the soundboard MCW.
Yeah.
But, I'm learning my own stuff. I'm learning how to do better for me and not just for MCW. I want to do better. I want to increase my production. I want to give the best quality, especially with audio. My audio is the most important thing when I'm doing commentary. Absolutely the most important thing. My camera's good. It's as good as it's going to be for now, but my microphone can get better.
True. Producer guy. Well, I guess we're doing last call number 2.
Yeah.
Come on.
When eternity later.
Yeah. Oh God. Amanda's never gonna forgive me.
Producer Lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support and buy us a drink by putting the I in subscribe and reviewing our podcast. And cheers to Fans First Sports Network for keeping the dive bar lights on.
I would never have a drink